Hey, what is up, everyone? It's Rich. All right, welcome to Super Fun Sunday. Today, we're going to celebrate one of my favoritist artists ever, Mike Mignola, and we're going to celebrate his birthday. It was his birthday a few days ago, and look, I don't need much of an excuse to do a Mignola video, and his birthday was plenty. I've been a fan of Mike's stuff since really I started collecting comics. I would say that it probably took me a couple of months to find it, his work. I when I originally started collecting comics, I shopped at a few shops. So, one of them was a video game store that really didn't have probably as deep of a selection as this other store that had like a huge back issue, like a second floor that was all back issues, and like the back room with the like more sort of violent and adult comics and all kinds of cool books, like Mobius books and Giger and like lowbrow and all that kind of stuff. So really really cool shop. But anyway, the focus today is really just going to be on enjoying Mike's work. I've got a whole bunch of stuff pulled up. We're going to focus on a certain era of Mike's work, so we're not going to actually look at a lot of Hellboy, except we are going to go through a bunch of heritage scans towards the end of the video. So it'll probably be an hour to maybe 90 minutes, and it'll be a lot of fun. We're going to look at Alien Salvation. We're going to look at a great Hellraiser short story that he did. We're going to look at some Iron Wolf, Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser. I think Cosmic Odyssey I pulled. So it's kind of like the middle of his career, really kind of right before Hellboy started. But to me, it's an interesting part of his career, and hopefully you agree. I've done many YouTube videos on Mike's work. Like I said, he really is one of my favorite artists, and someone who just it kind of hits all the notes for me. It's clear, it's graphic, it's a great style. He does kind of darker, weird stuff, which I enjoy, and it's just going to be a lot of fun. So I pulled up. This is the original cover for Aliens Salvation, and we have a more updated piece that was the collection. And this story is actually inked by Kevin Nolan, which is pretty interesting because Kevin Nolan in his own right is just a phenomenal artist. I'm sitting right on top of my Cintiq. I actually kind of rearranged my office studio, I should call it, and so I have to remind myself to zoom in because I know not everybody is going to be watching it on a 27-inch monitor from 4 inches away. So anyway, all right, let's get into this. This is going to be really fun. I watched back one of the more recent videos that I did, and I had some minor criticisms of some of the stuff that I did in terms of like how we were viewing the images and whatnot. So hopefully I'll be able to improve on that in this video. So we're not going to look at this whole story, but we'll grab a nice chunk of pages, and let me just let's see what we can do here. So we've got a lot to look at. So oh, I should have grabbed Legend of the Dark Knight too, but it's okay. I more likely than not, I've actually done a video just on that comic. But again, if you search my channel, you 1000% will be able to find more Mignola stuff. So all right, let's see what we got. So nice and simple, direct. This reminds me a little bit of Mike did some stories for DC with Superman, World of Krypton. They're really, really good. And in fact, I would highly recommend you could seek them out on newsprint. There are collections of them. I think it really looks great on the newsprint, so they're not real expensive. And yeah, you want Mignola World of Krypton. If you Google it, you could definitely figure out what issues it is. It's about 3 comics, maybe 4, maybe 4. But yeah, this reminds me a little bit of that style. Oops, what did I do? Oh god, I hate when I do that. Alright, this is tough drawing challenge to do like a nuclear blast like that. Mike keeps it nice and simple. I think it works though. this is going to drive me nuts. Come on. I want to try to get this. Yeah, there we go. Okay. It'll be frustrating trying to go through the other things. Okay, so this is the opening. This is such a great panel right here. I love this. Mike actually does really good ships and stuff like that. His ship designs on like Iron Wolf are excellent. In fact, we almost should have kind of gone in chronological order, but this will be fine. This is actually one of the first, I think, where Mike really actually boiled his stuff down more than he had up to this point. He kind of, during the middle of his career, would sort of teeter back and forth a little bit between like how much was enough. But this is one where he actually did keep it more simple, more like less detail. Another great one is that X-Force story that he did. It's a full comic, but has like a lead-in page and I think an exit page, maybe by Liefeld. But Mike does the meat of the story. Most comic book artists really love it. But from what I understand at the time, it actually didn't hit the notes that the mainstream pop culture fans were looking for. They were getting used to the early bubbling up of the Image look, and obviously Mike's stuff isn't really that style. All this stuff is great. I was thinking about it last night, kind of just sort of in my mind running through things that I would talk about in the video, and so Mike is actually very influential, but what's interesting about Mike's influence is there's a small handful of people that have actually done what I would consider like a Mike Mignola style. You have Matt Smith does it, Ryan Sook on Spectre, and a little like he kind of brushed through it in about a year or two, but there was definitely a period where Ryan Sook was really heavily influenced by Mike's stuff. There's a Japanese artist that I was following on Instagram. I have not seen his or her work in a while, but they post like a daily character sketch, and the stuff is very Mignola-ish. They're color pieces, but yeah, for whatever reason, Instagram has rolled that person out of my algorithm, and so I haven't seen their work in a while, but they're really good. Who else? There was a few others that I was thinking of. But then what's interesting is you see Mignola stuff pop up in other people's work that don't really draw like Mike, but they use elements of Mike's refinement process in it. And one in particular that really is some of my favorite work that they did was Travis on Wildcats. Was trying to, I think, streamline his ideas at some point, and the combination of what Travis was doing with the Mignola look, I actually thought looked really, really nice. So that was great. You see it in Silvestri, and just it's out there for sure. Adam Hughes is a huge Mignola fan. I mean, most of us are, but I'm talking about people that have actually brought in, we'll call it Mignola-isms into their work, even in just small ways. I definitely do, and I have for a long time. Mike gets some of his framing and stuff like that from Frazetta and other artists. I'm not going to really like him. He's a big Kirby fan. I think Mike just really, he did the work. Another thing that's great about Mike is his candor in terms of his level of self-confidence, and there's a couple of really good interviews on YouTube, and I always recommend these to people whenever I do Mignola video. Absolutely check them out. They're fantastic interviews. If you're ever doubting yourself or feeling like you're not good enough to draw comics and stuff like that, they'll really pick you up and sort of put you in a good headspace. So highly, highly recommended. I mean, you could literally use them almost like his therapy. Because he had a lot of self-confidence issues. He really didn't feel that he had a ton of natural ability. He teeters back and forth. I mean, he'll even admit that he can go from going like, I'm a genius, this is the most brilliant thing, to like, I'm the worst artist, ever, kind of saw like a wide berth of confidence. But I think we've all been there, but it's very interesting. He started as an inker, but he says that he was a terrible inker, and an editor finally was like, look, you should probably pencil, because this inking thing just is not happening for you. And some really, really interesting stories along the way of all that. So fascinating stuff. I usually will mention this too. I was friends with Aaron Weisenfeld and Richard Bennett, and when I originally went to Wildstorm and I became friends with those guys, I went to their apartment. They lived in the same apartment building, really like right next door to each other, literally. And both of them owned original art from the Legends of the Dark Knight story. One of them had the double page spread. I remember seeing it on the wall. I want to say that that was Richard Bennett, but as far as I remember, they both owned pages from it, and man, those would be worth a lot of money now. Not that that's the point of it, but very very cool pieces. Hopefully, they still both own them because they're very neat. This is great right here. Oops, sorry, I'm not on a pen tool. Just have this so that I can have my pointer. This is really really nice though. Another thing with and directing the eye to this, one temptation that I think young artists, and I include myself in this too, this was a refinement and a boiling down of another style that Mike used, which was more detailed, more more, I hate to use the word detail because it's not just about detail, but I think the temptation for someone might be that like, oh well, this is less stuff to draw, so maybe I can learn this out of the gate, and that will sort of speed up my process into doing things. The only downside is you're looking at a lot of years of work that went into what choices he makes and what he leaves in, and copying shapes and things like that can sometimes not work for an artist that doesn't understand what everything is indicating. The problem is you're going to be the last to know because you don't have the experience or knowledge to see what you're doing. So you might think that you're like nailing it, and then other people look at it and go, oh, yeah, this is not really where it needs to be. And I think in general this would be a difficult style sometimes to maybe get work. It's always going to be its own thing. So these are just things to consider. I think your best bet is to develop a boiling down of your own work, with maybe the goal of like someday I would love to have it like this simple, but kind of work towards that more than start here. But I like stuff like this. Mike shares a funny story about when I think it was Disney did the Atlantis movie, and that they had people sort of go through his work and sort of create a rule book for how they felt Mike drew, and they eventually contacted Mike and had him come in, and they had like dry erase boards with like the Mike Mignola formula, and Mike really found it kind of funny that he's like, I don't think about any of this stuff that you guys are like talking about, but if you're trying to reverse engineer an idea process, there are like little things that maybe artists do. A lot of it too. I mean, I warn people that are digital artists that when you work on a page, a comic book page on paper, it sits in front of you, and you're always looking at the page itself, whatever the panel layout is, and you don't have moments where you're like this, and then moments where you're like this, and things are you're zooming in on areas of the page, and so when you're drawing on paper, you start to realize that some detail just probably isn't going to show, or that might not be necessary. And so what I'll find is that there's certain sizes, not just with Mike stuff, but with artists, where it's like his unconscious rule might be when he draws heads this small that a lot of times he's not going to draw any facial features. Again, it might not be a rule in his head, but there's just a point where when you're working digitally, because you can zoom in, I mean, you could very easily put in facial features, but it may not really serve the drawing well. So anyway, look, these aliens, to me, there's no doubt that if you look at Wildcats 25, that Travis wasn't vibing off of this stuff. Even in Wildcats 18, some of the Damonite stuff that you see in that book, there's a bunch of splash pages in a row. And I'm nearly sure that he probably got some of the iconography from this. Maybe I'm wrong though, but I would speculate that that's possible. But yeah, so my first introduction to Mike's work was Hellboy, probably Seed of Destruction. I'm nearly sure it was. And then I was getting into Frank Miller at the same time. So Sin City and Hellboy were two of my early favorites, and I liked them because they were different. You know, they were different than a lot of the other stuff that I was picking up at that time. This is great. This is awesome too. And yeah, it was just really, really really cool looking. You know, you're trying to understand what this comic book thing is, and the people draw it, and man, it's so great. I was really excited to do this video. I hadn't really looked at Mike's work in a while. I need to pick up that frickin' lockdown sketchbook. In fact, after I shoot this video, I'm gonna go buy it. But yeah, it was really fun seeing him do daily sketches, you know, and all the different stuff that he touched on. I thought that was a lot of fun. I love his painted work. We're gonna see some of that too, and yeah, lots of great stuff. So this is nice. Another great Alien book, if you haven't seen it, is definitely seek out some of the early mini series that they did. Like Sam Keith did one, Kelly Jones did one. They're really good. They're really, really cool looking. This is awesome too. God, they're so powerful. The crows agree. Do you guys agree? I don't know if you can hear the crows in the backyard crowing. It's kind of, you know what? It actually is fitting for Mignola's stuff. He does creepy crows. They'd be like black with like a red eye. Looks more like a fish. He needs the beak. Okay, let's see. Oh, that's cool. This is a great pose too. This is awesome too. Look at all this stuff. Mike's going to town. These are just such great dynamic poses. Yeah, those are really, really cool. Oh man, the alien behind him is great. Shooting these videos too, I mean, I have a fun opportunity to, one, look at the stuff with all of you, and then two, you know, for something like this, I'll probably watch this back later today and really kind of just sit back and actually look at the pages. And it's fun because I'll look at what I'm talking about, but I'll also focus in on areas that maybe I missed. So a lot of times I do gloss over things that are pretty interesting on the pages, not intentionally. This is really, really good too. Man, that's great. He really creates very powerful things. I mean, it's those heavy blacks, thick like shadow areas, kind of Bridgman-y. And again, here we can see the detail dropping out on those faces. So, but you know, if I did that on my stuff, an editor, art director, you know, might go, I don't know. You put the eyes in, it looks a little weird. So you kind of have to fight for that stuff. He really, really was drawing actually some very cool, like there's like a, I don't know, I wouldn't call it a realism, but like these are really like nice looking male drawings, like heroic looking characters, but so graphic. I mean, there's not a lot of like, you know, most of the time it's like almost 75% in shadow, but really, really strong. This is nice too. Really, really nice beefy hands. It's good. Mike does actually draw really nice arms and hands. I think that they're actually quite cool. But again, it's the way that he boiled that down is by learning the real thing. You know, I mean, it's just the way that it is. Now, his idea of the real thing versus what I'm talking about might be different, but you know, there's a clear understanding of form and stuff like that he's boiled down. God, that's great too. Yep, really, really cool. Okay, I know, birds. You guys like this stuff. It's right up your alley. Dark. That's cool too. I can do this on one page. Let's see. Right? What's going on? trying to get this grayscale. What is going on? Alright. Why is my image mode grayscale? I have a shortcut key for that. That's weird. It's not working. The computer was kind of wigging out the other day. I was figured we would look at one of these pages in black and white. I actually have done it to a bunch of them, but they do look nice in black and white. Really, really cool shapes and design, and oh man, yeah, it's really good. Really directs your eye to where he wants you to look, and he moves you through. Frames things nicely with all this. Keeps this so that we're focused on him. It's all good stuff. I'm really perplexed on why. What is going on? Let me see something really quick. I'm just curious. Keyboard shortcuts. Image. Mode. Grayscale. Oh, there's no shortcut key. That is completely bizarre. So it's Control Alt G. Yeah. Except. Alright. What is going on? That's really weird. There we go. I don't know why the shortcut key vanished. I know for a fact I had one. Alright. Now we're going to go into another book. We are going to look at, let's look at the Hellraiser. This is really cool. I'll show you the cover, even though he didn't do the cover, just so that you can find it. This was a real hidden gem for me. This is one of my favorite, like kind of short stories that he's done. It's a really interesting period of Mike's work. But this is the cover, if you ever want to find it. It's the 13th issue of Clive Barker's Hellraiser comics. Highly, highly recommend this. It's really, really cool. So let's see this. We're going to go in order. But yeah, I picked this up. I have a book called The Comic Artists Index, and it listed up to like the mid-90s, everything that artists would do, cover, whatever it was. They would define what it was, did a pinup and X issue. I remember seeing this, and it took me a long time to find it in a back issue bin, because it would have been probably pre-eBay. But once I found it, I was like, oh my god, I love this. So, and Mark Nelson is the ink artist on this, which is interesting. I actually know someone that knows him. It's a professional musician, funny enough. Alright, so this is cool. I love this. Oh man, again, another just classic kind of Mignola hand. It's just chunky. It really gives like a nice form. Yeah, I haven't talked to Kelsey, so I know people like the live Super Fun Sundays, but yeah, until he's kind of back on track, I'm probably gonna wait to do those, just because I'm really, really busy. I did 6 pages this past week, which is pretty incredible for me. I don't think I've ever done that. Maybe I had, and I just don't remember, but yeah, I mean, I actually was able to start and finish 6 pages of work. That's pretty incredible. So I'm on a roll. I believe that's what he's kind of up to too. He had taken a 20-page like side project, and it was pencils, inks, and colors. I mentioned it in another video, but just in case people are wondering. And that's a lot of work, so I think he's probably just trying to focus on doing that, because if you don't, you're just never going to get it done. This is so creepy. Let me zoom out a little bit. Oh, that's so cool. This reminds me of, he did a great couple of Batman covers. They could be detective, but it's like Batman in like a swamp with all these like creepy skeletons coming out of the water. I actually did an Everquest pinup and kind of did a little bit of a throwback to that. I don't remember if the final version had the hands come out of the water, but I was definitely going for like a Mignola thing. But also with like some detail. Like I said, that's kind of my goal, has always been to have the graphicness of something like this, but then also the detail that I like to put. But it's, it's figuring out where what goes, So it's really, really cool, him pulling on his pants. He's like, Hello, Moto. I can't remember this look. I wonder if Mike gets this from someone. I mean, I know that this is a character from the story, but this type of face, I've seen him do it in other stories too. I'm not really sure the origin of it. Oh, sorry, I'm going out of order. Let me just go in order. Look at this. Oh, man. He's grabbing the ladle. Soup's on. Oh, gross. Man, that's so nice. Just for like a little TV shot. Really, really good. I love that he didn't draw the rest of the guy's suit, too. Oy. Man, this guy's got a creepy apartment. Do we have here? Man, that's really good. You can see like he's still putting in quite a bit of detail at this point, which I kind of like it in a way. This stuff would be very time consuming, and also I mean, you remember he didn't ink this story, but all these little black shapes actually are very, very time consuming to actually like fill in the blacks on. Can really add up the time. You know, you go in, you can ink this stuff quite quickly, but then filling in the blacks, whether you do it as you're moving along or if you save it for the end after you erase the page, can really kind of stack some hours onto a piece. Oh, this is really cool. And just the colors remind me a little bit of the Legends of the Dark Knight story. You righteous bastard, Winky Dink. Funny. Oh man, it's so creepy. Man, drawing is fun. It's gosh, I'm having such a blast, and it's like I'm so excited about just continuing with things. I really need to actually kick myself in the ass and get more on social media. But I want to focus on the work right now. It's a tough thing. So it's like I know that that's where I really need to spend my energy is just focused on the drawing, and then when I finish Crystal Planet, I can kind of come out of the cave, reemerge. This is me right now going through the process. This is a great little gesture. He's cool. This is really nice. I like the angle that he has the hand at. Oh, look at that. So how many of you have seen this story? I bet there's a few. I've got some pretty hardcore Mignola fans that follow this channel, but I bet a lot of people haven't seen this. Definitely put it on your to-do list. It's a goodie. Oh man, it's crazy. Choppa. Oh, this is cool. I'm trying to think of other comics where they've done this. Maybe Deathblow? Did Deathblow paint his face in the comic? I don't know. Ah, that's really good. Man, Mike is just. It's interesting too because one of the things I was thinking of is like Guillermo del Toro and other really respected creators in other fields. Will really put high praise on Mike and call him a genius, and sometimes that term gets like bandied around quite loosely. But Mike really is quite ingenious. I think I can share this story. It's not. I don't think it's like a big deal, but I recently sold the Mignola cover, and I had bought it years ago. It was interesting because I was shooting for another cover, and the person on eBay pulled it down, and so all of a sudden this piece that I was watching, and I think I had maybe bid on they canceled the auction. This is a long time ago, maybe 20 years ago, early eBay, and I was so bummed. And I was so ready to buy this piece, and it was back when Mignola covers were more affordable, to be clear. Anyway, another cover came up, and it was Zombie World #1, and I bought it, and I owned it for a long time. I'm pretty sure I shared it on something. I don't even remember. One of the social medias. I think I posted a picture of it. But I sold it recently, and I sold it on eBay, and Robert Kirkman bought it. It was really cool, and so of all the people to buy a zombie cover, I mean, it makes sense, right? But yeah, it was really neat, and I got to talk to him very briefly through a couple of emails. But it was cool, you know. And I mean, what a great home for it to go to. But yeah, it was kind of cool. But it's the only Mignola piece I've ever owned. And a lot of times people will ask me if I collect original art. I really don't anymore. There's little things I would pick up, but I would definitely buy Mignola interiors. I mean, the covers are out of my price range, but I mean, stuff like this, I mean, I still would get a lot of pleasure out of, you know. I think that this stuff is very cool, and it would definitely be a little bit more affordable. But anything that Mike draws is expensive. So, but yeah, it would be neat to own a few interior pages of Mike's. I think they display well. It's just there's such a nice graphic quality to them. So, all right, let's go to another book now. Open. Let's look at Farfar and the Grey Mouser 4. If you haven't seen these are really cool too. The temptation would be to do 1, but I've looked at 1 so many times. Let's see what the 4 is about. Man, what is going on outside? I don't know if you can hear the screaming. Someone playing, but it's like they're getting murdered. Okay, so let's see here. So this is the cover. What the fuck? I don't know if you guys can hear that. It's really annoying. I wasn't gonna curse in this video, and they made me do it. That I actually did think that. I was like, you know what, Rich? You're a better person than cursing all the time. It's time to grow up. I'm trying to figure out if someone's hurt or not. It's teetering on like not normal screaming. Alright, I'm gonna have to shut this. It's really distracting. Sorry, kitty. Yeah, what is going on? I can't tell. Like, I'm shooting a YouTube video, but I seriously can't tell if someone's hurt or if they're goofing around. Anyway. So there's 4 of these, Fafard and the Grey Mouser, and they're all really good. They're kind of more like graphic. They're slightly square bound, and they're more pages than a regular comic. So we won't go through this whole issue, but I would highly recommend them. They're really excellent. The scans look a little dark, so if I have to, I'll adjust them a little bit. And Mike has done some really beautiful covers after the fact for some of the like novels. They're really cool. Those you can just find online, like on Google. They're really good. But he did those maybe 10 or 15 years ago. They're excellent. There's some of my favorite pieces. Man, he had a sweet spot between I don't know, 2002 and maybe 2012, where he was really doing some killer stuff. I mean, he still is, but all artists sort of have these kind of areas where it's like they're just knocking it out of the park left and right. I'm trying to remember. I'm nearly sure that he didn't ink these. I wasn't paying attention to the credits, but I'm almost positive he didn't. Let me lighten this just a little bit. These are a little dark. This is kind of more like it if you saw the comic. And these are fairly detailed too. I mean, in terms of like the amount that he's drawing, but look, a lot of it could be the fact that he was only penciling it, so you kind of spell stuff out like a little more clearly, you know, just because you know, you don't want someone to misunderstand what you're putting down. But on top of it, you're not spending as much time on the pieces, so you may kind of, you know, put a little extra effort into some of the drawings. I think there's like a pinup gallery in the back of this. I'm kind of curious now. Yeah, do you think that there is, Kitty? I always like this sequence. This is really nice. It looks a little like Cabo San Lucas. cool. Speaking of cats, one of my idiot cats spilled something on one of my Far from the Grey Mouser books. I need to replace it. Whenever I see it, it bums me out. It's like got water damage on it. I think it's issue 1 or 4, but yeah, I'm going to have to replace it. I can't have one of my books damaged. It's unfathomable. Oh, I love this page. This was the one I was thinking of. Just lighten this a little bit. All right. Yeah, that's really, really cool. His ability to create language, meaning like visual language with how he draws, is just amazing. It's so freaking cool looking. Gosh. I sometimes debate, it's not really like, it doesn't really matter, but I kind of do think that Mike is probably my favorite comic book artist. I've said it in other videos. But I'm nearly sure. I think like if I put Mike's work toe to toe with anyone that I'm a fan of, I would say Mike and probably Frazetta are the top 2. I had a really neat, very short conversation with Mike before Comic-Con. Probably the last year that Comic-Con happened. I don't know, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. But because I'm a exhibitor, I go in early, and he was at his table by himself, and he had done, there was a new book that he had done, but I got to talk to him for a few minutes, just kind of one-on-one. It was really neat, honestly. Like, I kind of told him how much I appreciate his work, and without making it awkward. Remember that time you drew Hellboy? He's like, uh-huh. I'm like, that was cool. But anyway, what was neat is I bought the book that he was selling, and he signed it for me, and he said, this is the first one of these that I've ever signed. It was a brand new collected book. I'm trying to think. I have it on my shelf somewhere. Where is it? I think it's The Art of Hellboy. It's not The Art of Hellboy. It's a newer one. It's like a cover gallery. It's actually not all his work. It's kind of a bunch of people. But anyway, yeah, it was cool. But yeah, man, I would love to go to like a dinner and actually like have like a longer conversation with Mike. Hopefully someday that would happen. He doesn't really know me though. I would have to be like someone that I know knows him, and then you get lucky and get a tag along. I went to a dinner with Frank Miller and Lynn Varley actually, and I got to sit right next to Frank Miller at a table of, I don't know, maybe like 12 people, and oh man, it was really cool hearing him talk for like 3 hours. It was so interesting. It was really, really fun. I sort of navigated when everyone was getting ready to sit down. It was one of those times where I'm like, dude, when are you ever going to have a chance to go to a dinner with Frank Miller? You need to sit as close as possible to wherever he looks like he's going to sit. And I ended up right next to him. I think, what I think it was is the table was like this, and I think I was sitting here, and Frank was right here, and then there was, like people like this, and then someone down there. But yeah, Frank and I think Lynn were sitting right here, so I had a good spot. That's like experience though. It's one of those things where you go to a dinner like that, and you end up at the opposite end of the table, and you don't get to hear any of the cool stories. And then you tell yourself, never again. I'm never gonna let that happen. This is so cool. So now it'll be weird if I ever do go to a Mignola dinner, because people are gonna be watching me. It's like, watch, he's gonna try to sit by him. This is really cool. It is funny when I look through these books, I realize how much Mignola I actually put into my stuff. Not really intentionally, but yeah, a lot of the again, I call it iconography, but I definitely get a lot of it from Mike's work, for sure. He has great clamshells. I mean, this is really nice, or whatever that is. Oh gosh, look at this. I knew this one had creepy stuff. Well, look at that. I want to find the pinups that he did in the back of one of the issues. Oh, this is great. Oh my god. So he's actually, I was going to talk about this too. So his next book that he's working on is actually an adaptation of the Pinocchio, the original story, not like the Disney one. And he had been talking about that for a long time. And in fact, it was interesting is because when he brought it up, I really started to kind of get interested in the story itself, because the way he would describe it, I was like, this is a lot darker and weirder than well, Pinocchio was always actually disturbing to me, though. I remember as a kid that movie really kind of made an impact on me and kind of freaked me out a little bit. It was a little weird. Um, and yeah, so that's what he's doing next, which is great, because I have talked about this in the past briefly. Is because the whole time I've been collecting comics, he's really only worked on Hellboy. There is a part of me that was excited for him to hopefully one day do some stories of something else. Again, because I'm a big fan of like fantasy and weird stuff like this. So as much as I do love Hellboy, I was excited to hear that we're gonna get a story of something else. I think that'll be really cool. I really kind of, he has an astronaut guy that he draws too, and I would love to see him do a story with the astronaut. So hopefully he branches out just a little bit. I still want to see Hellboy, though, to be clear, but yeah, this is really cool. Okay, so let's do this. We'll look at this page, and then I'm gonna try to find the pinups in the back of another issue. We'll shut these a little quicker, kind of look at them. This is nice. Chronicles of Quorum is another book that he did very early in his career. I'm sure it's super cringy to him if he sees it. I like it. I think it's really, really cool stuff. Again, the material, too, is right up my alley, which is this kind of sword and sorcery adventure stuff. Is kind of, I don't know, it's like, I mean, I was a D&D kid, so stuff like that is always fun for me. Okay, so let's, oh, when his hair comes out, that's right. All right, so let me... I'm going to shut all these, and then let's go to, I want to look in issue 3. 3 must have the pinups in the back. Come on. Are they? No? I wonder if they're in the back of issue 1. No? Oh, let's see for issue 2. Oh, here it is. This piece is very, very cool. It's a black drawing right there. Creepy tree, check. Vulture, check. Lots of skulls, checkity, check, check, check. Tree roots, this is always good. A rock, and then the only thing that I didn't really do is I didn't put tons of characters. I would generally focus on creatures, although I did have knights in armor in one. But yeah, it kind of felt like people, like from my pieces, pulled a little bit out of the fantasy element. But that's where it was headed, is things like this. But yeah, this is really, really cool. He would do a great tarot deck. It would be interesting to see him handle that material. All right, so now we're going to go into Iron Wolf. And then we're going to look at a bunch of original art. So this is going to be quite the journey. We'll go 15 minutes on Iron Wolf. And then I'm just going to grab a few of these first, and then we'll open more in a second. Let me just do this. Oh, whoa. I didn't mean to copy it. All right. Let me just delete these really fast so I don't get confused. All right. I just wanted to open the cover so you could see it. And this is another one that I would highly recommend. It almost comes a little bit like a trade paperback. And I've got a few copies of it, to be honest. So this is the cover. I'll just open the cover really quick and let me grab some of the pages. Grab all these. And again, this is where you're going to see him cutting his teeth on a lot of different things. Victorian costumes, a lot of different character designs, some really, really creative, like this, anytime you see stuff like this, obviously we all kind of go to like Mobius. And like vehicles, like kind of like what would you call it? Like low fidelity sort of vehicles. So here's the cover. Written by Howard Chaykin. I'm not sure. I don't know if maybe John Francis Moore was the original writer, and then these would be the artists. I'm thinking this is the era where they didn't credit the colorist on the cover. Let's see what we got going on here. So this is always fun. I like stuff like this. Maps and universes and things like that. Oh man, I'm kind of excited to get to the the original art. There's so much. I had the folder listed as Mignola pencils, and I was like, I don't doubt that it's pencils. And I opened it up, and I was like, oh, okay, it's just a bunch of heritage, like high res scans. So works for me. This is a very memorable piece. There's like a lot going on. I think this is very memorable. This boar running is memorable, and then this kind of weird guy's face. And then just the way that the panels are split up. Oh yeah, this is cool. Really, really cool. Again, you can start to see him really simplifying stuff. You wouldn't see the same approach to his language on like the Hellraiser story. He wasn't getting this simple. Cosmic Odyssey is another one that I would recommend. I mean, it's really, really interesting to watch him move in and out of these different things. And again, it's the one thing that you have to remember is that there was a tremendous amount of art being produced throughout all those periods. So he had a lot of opportunities to not only try things, but to test them over and over again until he found things that either he was more comfortable with. Sorry, I did that thing again. Or that just made the process bearable. You know, it's one of those things where I'm understanding more the demands placed on a penciler and how some of the decisions are just based on, I wouldn't call it self-preservation so much, but, you know, I mean, if you have 125 pages to draw, you you need to come up with something that you're going to be able to do 125 pages of work consistently, or you're going to be in big trouble. You can't gas out 13 pages into the book because you set the bar too high, or you're doing stuff that's not going to work. So you're better off kind of shooting towards the middle and then expanding from there. And then again, you start to see what works and what doesn't. And that's where I think I'm kind of at right now, where it's like I've got a process that's working, and now I'm expanding from that process. But the first two issues, I was just sort of shooting in the dark because I didn't have any experience, you know. And again, you're called on to draw so many different things that you've never done. It's no matter how much you've penciled, there's just a long period of time where you're gonna have things, shots that you've never done, characters interacting in ways that they've never interacted, elements and the pieces that are out of, you know, the norm for you. And you just start to figure out how to kind of handle it. It's really quite interesting. Lots of ellipses too. Man, this stuff would be interesting. This is great. This is really cool. Man, Mike is good. I should call this Super Spoiled Sunday because I'm just like, I'm going to be a very happy camper checking this out again later. My goal, my schedule was if I can do 6 pages in a week, I'll let myself take one day off to sort of rest. I am going to work today though, so I'm kind of breaking my own rule already. Week 1, I'm already breaking it. But I'm going to work for a little bit today just to get a start on tomorrow, but I'm right on point. Even 5 pages a week would be good, but I'm a little past that. This is so awesome. Man, it's great. Another book that he did, I think I have it over here. It's Doctor Doom, Doctor Strange, and that's like one of those Marvel graphic novels. It comes in a hardcover. It's pretty cool. Really, anything Mike does is pretty cool. Hey, he did Rocket Raccoon. You can go back and actually see stuff that really doesn't look much like what he did, and even some Hulk stuff. I'm trying to remember if he did Hulk interiors. He definitely did some Hulk covers. Obviously, he did those beautiful, beautiful Marvel Comics Presents run of covers. Those are great. We're just gonna go out of order at this point. It's annoying to keep having to go back. I love this page. I'm gonna brighten it just a little tiny bit. This is fun. Fun designs. He really gets like a very naturalistic sort of vibe with these characters. I'm gonna grab just a little bit of a brighter color. But like this stuff, they're pretty, like the gestures that the characters are in, and they're not stiff. They always have like a nice kind of vibe to them. Even this, like this guy walking, it's really good. And a big chicken. This is cool. Really, really cool panel. So yeah, happy birthday, Mike Mignola. Said I don't need much of an excuse to do a Mignola video. I'm excited to actually get that. I can't remember what it's called. Lockdown sketchbook, something like that. I feel like that's not the exact name, but anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's really cool. This is nice. And you can feel a little bit of the crossover with the Fufford and the Grey Mouser stuff. I'm off the top of my head, I can't remember which he did first. This is cool. Nice. Yeah, man, this is some solid shit. These heavy shadows really work well. I need to be doing more of that. I'm really not... I use lighting a lot, but I don't have it really affecting my characters as much in terms of heavy shadows on the actual flesh. On clothes, I'm doing it more, but yeah, like on faces and stuff like that, I'm not doing a lot of shadows. Was a joke at Wildstorm because someone had visited from another studio one time, and they were talking about that they were going to learn how to put blacks on their stuff, and they were going to study Mignola to learn his blacks on the faces. And I remember some of the pencilers kind of laughing at that because it's again, it's you're copying superficial detail and you're not really getting it from the source. So it's, you know, kind of proceed with your own awareness that you might be better off just trying to get like some sort of a head sculpt or something like that, and then putting light on it and actually seeing what light does and come up with your own sort of conclusions. This almost doesn't look like Mike. It's funny. It doesn't, but that's this top panel. Like, this doesn't really look like a Mignola face. Okay, so we're going to move a little tiny bit faster because we actually do have a ton of... this is cool. This has got a little bit of the alien vibe. Ridley, is that you? Ripley. Ridley? No, Ridley Scott Ripley. Okay, let's see what we got here. This is really cool. Tom Coker is a big Mignola fan too. You could definitely see it in some of his... I mean, I think just in general, but his earlier work for sure. Some Bacalo too. Oh yeah, this is nice. I'm just gonna try to turn it gray. These colors don't go away as easily. Man, this is inspiring shit. He's so freaking good. God, man, I love it. Whore. Oh, Quarantine Sketchbook. I think that's what it was called. Okay, Die. This must be a Metallica concert. Die. E-S and Die. Goodness. This guy's really cool. Obviously, now that reminds me of Bram Stoker's Dracula. It was definitely, that was right when I started collecting comics. I remember buying those. That was tops. Those came polybagged with trading cards. I still have some sealed ones somewhere, but I opened a set and read it too. And then they've done a black and white version of that now too that you can get, so you can actually get it as yeah, just a black and white version, which is really, really cool. Mike didn't ink that, though. Okay, so now we're going to go into original art. And we'll ride this into the sunset until I'm blue in the face. So I'm just going to grab a chunk, and then I might, like, kind of strategically pick. It's not going to matter. I mean, it's all good stuff. Probably great stuff, in fact, but so I'm going to start here, and I'm going to grab to this color piece, and then we'll open all these, and then let's do this, actually. Oh, okay, there's really not that many. All right, well, that'll be, I'll remember that. I'll throw this, and this is Batman. Oh, what's the little pencil? It looked like there was a Scott Benefield piece in there, but Scott did a Hellboy story, but I caught a brief glimpse of what I thought might not be a Mike piece, but it's not a big deal. I really love when he does the washes and then the colored work over that. I really think that stuff looks great. And he had gotten into painting. Now, I don't remember what medium he was using, and they may have been watercolor paintings, but that's cool stuff too. See if the screaming has stopped outside. All right, we're almost there. Photoshop is like, dang, Rich, you're giving me a workout. These are, well, they're not high res, but they're higher res. So this is nice. He had done an older piece that was similar to this, and then obviously went in and did like a color version of it. But it's cool looking. We can actually go full screen for this too. This will be nice because there's no real sequential order to any of this stuff. But yeah, let's zoom in. Not sure what kind of board he uses when he does his watercolor stuff, but my guess would be it doesn't really look like watercolor paper. It looks like it might be like that Crescent illustration board. Now, I could be wrong. It could just be comic book paper. I've never held one of these originals with the watercolor, but comic book paper, like decent, like DC board, can sometimes withstand things like watercolory effects. It just depends. I think you kind of do run the risk of it like not taking it well, but you can test it. You know, if you just put black ink down and just see how the black ink behaves, you'll have a real good idea of how good the paper is. This stuff is just so cool. So he's done a bunch of novellas where he does spot illustrations. So the spot illustrations are generally black and white in the book, and then he does cover pieces that look like this. But again, this is really, really beautiful stuff. There's two artist editions too that most people probably would be aware of, but IDW has done two. They did the From Hell collection, which is Hellboy in Hell and Other Stories, and then there's also the Mike Mignola's The Amazing Screw-On Head and Other Curious Objects Artist Edition. I'd highly recommend either. I mean, you know, it's they're really quite a gift, and I hope that they do more. You know, I buy every single one of them, so fan for life. So let's zoom in on this and see what we got. Oh my god, so cool. One thing you'll notice with these, I mean, I pointed out in any Mignola video we do, he generally dilutes his black ink, so even his blacks generally have a translucency. You'll see it more on the black and white art, but even on this piece you can see it. But this is not his inks, or at least I don't think it is, but anyway, this is an earlier piece. But, so Alpha Flight, I forgot about that. But, I mean, look how different this is. This almost has like an Arthur Adams feel a little bit. I mean, probably other influences too. Maybe P. Craig Russell. But, I mean, you would almost never even know that that's Mignola. So, look, we all start we all have humble beginnings. There's a few exceptions to that, but everybody has these skeletons in their closet. You know, and in particular, if you're the artist that drew it, I mean, it probably can get real uncomfortable seeing some of that stuff. We're just like, burn it. It's like, I'll give you a new drawing just to give me that one so I can destroy it. No, you wouldn't want to do that, but put it away forever. So, okay, so yeah, when we look at the black and white art, you will see stuff like this. This is how he fills in the blacks. Now I don't know if he necessarily like dilutes the ink a little bit, or if it's just he's using very brand new ink that isn't super black. But I would kind of believe that he probably has his brush a little bit wet with water, and then just when he grabs the black ink, he's not really super concerned about how black it goes down, and then it really does add a very kind of nice look to the originals. And then you know, when they prepare it for the comic book, they generally will pull it to jet black. Now, on the artist editions, my humble opinion, the first one, the scans look like they had been leveled. My guess is that when the work was originally scanned, that it might have been slightly prepared. I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. So let me. Well, it would be a color font. I'm going to lower the desaturation on this a little bit because it's starting to want to pull it to a color. But anyway, all right. Now, if I level this and start pulling it black, more black, this is kind of how the first artist edition looks to me a bit, and it's a little darker than Mike's work. But again, I think what it was is probably all the art had been scanned and possibly leveled a little bit for color, but they got it right on Amazing Screw-On Head, and it looks more like this. But yeah, that was the only really like kind of bummer for the first one. Is I like seeing this watery ink look. It's really cool. Chunky planes on these faces. Really looks good. Excellent. In fact, oh my god. He makes drawing look so fun. And, you know, this is very similar, although the content was different, but the cover that I was originally going to buy when I picked up that Zombie World cover, was at an angle like this with a column, and it was a big gargoyle coming around a corner and something over here. But it was similar to this, but it wasn't the Universal Monsters. But yeah, it broke my heart when the auction was pulled down. I was like, oh, God, are you kidding me? I was ready to go for this piece. It was all about the column too. The character was cool, but man, yeah, it's a Dylan Dog cover. I don't remember what issue number, but you could find it based on like what I described so far. This is cool. So this is Gotham by Gaslight. People really like this story. This is another one that's been then recently, well, not recently, but I think maybe 2 years ago was put out in black and white. So this is pretty cool. You know, cool to see it in black and white. Mike doesn't consider himself a Batman fan. I think he you know, from our point of view, most of us think that like you go, oh, Batman's like perfect for Mike, but he doesn't seem like he's real like super into superheroes. So it's interesting. But you know, Gotham by Gaslight obviously was a different take on the genre. So this is Hellboy. Yeah. Like when you start using huge shapes like that, man, it's crazy. But it's starting to feel very Kirby, especially in there. But you know, Mike is a big Kirby fan. Kirby gets better too. I mean, this is the one thing you'll hear many artists talk about this, that you know, early when you start drawing or getting into comics, you may not get Kirby, or you might like some of it, but Kirby gets better and better as you sort of move along. And you know, seeing it channeled through Mike's filter too is actually quite cool. I don't remember this page. It's funny. Ooh, this is nice. This looks like one of those creepy pinups that he puts in the back of the book, where it'll be like 5 female murderer pinups, whatever, from like the 1800s. It's like, she killed 40 men and kept them in the basement. It's like, where do you find these stories, Mike? What is going on? This is 2010. Man, that's a long time ago now. Goodness gracious, time flies. Here we go. It's really cool. I like this style a lot. It's a little more organic than some of the other stuff that he did. He did not ink this, but I think it looks really, really cool. Yeah, it's really neat. All right. Oh, more Fuffer than the Grey Mouser. He lost his lovely locks. This is kind of a tough shot sometimes. You'd think that it wouldn't be, but it's almost deceivingly simple. It can feel flat. I think that's what it is because the arm is so evenly, it's like kind of sideways, kind of front views, So they're tricky. Is you're trying to add form and show three-dimensional space when you line stuff up so straight on or sideways. It doesn't give you a lot of room to create form. I don't remember this. I'm trying to remember what this might even be from. Oh, maybe Phantom Stranger? Not sure. I'm not sure. Oh boy, look at that. Holy macamoly. Dude. See, this is what I'm talking about. Oh my gosh. God dang. Seeing this, it's really gets me excited for Blaster Kid. Because I just go like, man, I could do 20 years of Blaster Kid and put her in all these cool stories and moments and just like, oh my gosh. It's going to be so fun. 2 more comics of Crystal Planet and I'm done. Well, technically 3. I'm finishing 3 right now, but it's moving. I'm on a freight train heading home. I've reached the roundabout. I feel that way. 1 more. Technically, it'll be 7 more work days, and I'll be officially halfway through with the project. But the second half is going to go much faster than the first, because I was figuring so much stuff out initially that it was taking me a lot longer than I anticipated. But it is what it is. All that hard work will go into Blaster Kid looking that much better. All right. So this is probably Phantom Stranger. I could be wrong, though. People are yelling at the screen right now going, you dummy, it's not Phantom Stranger. Come on, dude. Sometimes it's easy to forget the things. So this is one of the early Hellboy drawings. Now, I'm definitely not the first, but this is an early iteration of this. I think I know who owns this or who did, but I'm not positive, so I won't say. But this is interesting too. Is so Mike uses blue pencil, which is kind of neat. I don't see it on everything that he does, but for a long time he definitely was using blue pencil on his underdrawings, which is I actually like drawing with blue pencil. I don't like working over it. As weird as that sounds, like if I was going to sketch, I don't have any issue sketching all day with a blue pencil. But if I have to go in and then work over a blue pencil with regular pencil or start inking over it, then I kind of don't like it as much. So who knows? I might be able to work through that, but this is great. I want to say that Jim Royal inked Bram Stoker's Dracula, but don't hold me to that. But I think that's who did it. It's been a long time, but he did a real nice job. This is cool. I don't remember this piece. He's done so many of these, like Hellboy mini pinups and cover images. I mean, there's hundreds. So this is the omnibus cover, man. Unpublished. Oh, interesting. That's nice. It's really cool. Oh boy, look at this. I remember this from the comic. It's funny that he's the animal's so sideways. It's kind of that makes sense though, because if you turned it at weird angles, then all of a sudden you'd have a lot of overlapping of the bones, and it could actually be very confusing to read. So this very well may have been a problem solving technique, because I mean, if you imagine if you had the horse at an angle like this, possibly, but with bones, like and things are overlapping, it could be very confusing trying to see ribs and other hooves and whatnot. You know what I mean? So I kind of think that that's why the read just is more graphic that way. And that's, like I said, that's where the experience of doing pages and stuff like that, you start to problem solve something like this, but this could help you on many, many different drawing challenges where you go, oh yeah, it's kind of like that. I'm dealing with black next to black next to black, which is tricky. Costumes that have a lot of black, backgrounds that have black, and then like effects, and it's tricky, and you really have to kind of figure out how you're going to handle that. Because, like, say if this character is normally shadowed, but you're going to put him in a big area of black like this, then it's like, I'm not a big fan of halos. You can see Mike doesn't really use them either, but some artists, to separate things, if there was a lot of black on this character, might put like a line around it to make it sort of stick out. I'm, like I said, I'm not a big fan of halos, and so I try to avoid them if possible. But some people use them, and I mean, it can look real good. But I find it creates too many extra shapes in the art that I don't want. I figure I can plan it out good enough to make things work. And the other thing that you could do on something like this is, I mean, he handled it a different way, but you could actually have the shadow inside the body, meaning that like it could be like this, and so that the edges are white, like that's another solution to that type of a thing. Okay. All right. Oh, I love this page. This is such good action. Is it hand lettered on the border of these paste ups? It almost looks like paste ups. The space looks like it's there, but these look like they're actually paste ups. Now, it could still be hand lettered, meaning that it was actually written on paper, but these have, you can see, I don't know, it depends on your monitor, but there's definitely a different color of paper between the two. Let me see if Sir has it too. Yeah, it does. I don't know if you can see it, but like right there's like so it'd be interesting to see what the originals look like, if they are paste ups. Oh man, this is so memorable too. This is such a great shot. Again, you can see a little bit of that blue pencil underneath this drawing, which is, again, it's really kind of neat. I might have to give that a go. This is really cool, man. I'm coming. Wow, that is incredible. At the feet. Oh, let me I'm gonna get out of this for 1 second. Grab a color. There we go. Okay, now we'll go from the screen again. There we go. Yeah, these feet are so classic. He actually talked about in one of the longer interview videos, that he started to remove like anatomy from skulls, and if you actually look at the way that he draws just skulls, like he I can't remember what he bailed, the chin or the, it's like he kind of removed like a plane of his skulls. So if you see the way that he draws skulls now, he uses less of the form that actually is there, but it becomes this thing. This is such an iconic Hellboy. Man, it's like perfect. Oh yeah, this is cool. Hellboy's almost invisible in that piece. Man, it's awesome. To Steve, 1999. That was 23 years ago. where did the time go? Oh yeah, this is cool. Only beast. Dun dun. Man, that's great. I was like this too. The rendering that he does, where he doesn't fill those in with black. It just gives it a little waggle. It's good stuff. And this looks great. I love that. I don't remember what Mike inks with now, but years ago I had heard that he used an O3 micron. Now, is that true? I don't know. That's what I had heard. I believe it was an O3. It might have been an O5, but either or. That's what I was under the impression that some of his line work was. But again, it was a long time ago. I have no idea if it was true or if he still uses it. My guess would be further back that he was using a different tool, only because of the fact that I don't know really how long microns have been around. So like something like this, if it was done in like the 80s or early 90s, may have been a different tool. Anyone know when microns kind of came on the scene? I'm sure I could Google it, but obviously I'm in the middle of a video right now. But yeah, I wonder when microns actually became a pen. I want to say that in the early 90s, when I first was assisting a guy, I had heard that Stephen Platt used microns for some stuff. I don't know if it was all. I think he used the 102 also, but who knows? This is interesting. Usually that means like a knockout when they do it in red. I'm not really sure what that's all about. Oh, I think I have the whole story of this. I can't remember what this is from, but this is like something trippy. But this is really cool. You can really see his ability and knowledge of anatomy here, or like his version of it. But this is some good stuff. And I mean, again, this is a guy that's done his homework and come up with a way that he handles like the human figure. Then he starts to boil it down, but he didn't start with all these like weird shapes and like boiling everything down to like the simplest thing. He really is using some very heavy masses here in a Bridgman way. This is some chunky stuff. Chunky time. Really nice. So yeah, like I said, I would recommend check out one of those long interviews. If you've never watched them, do yourself a favor and just like set the setting search for YouTube for over 20 minutes. And there's at least 2 or 3 really long Mignola interviews. None of them are bad. In fact, they're all great. I might do one today myself. Yeah, so this was a whole story. I don't remember if it was sold in one lot. This is really funny. Look at this right here. That is a big face. This almost looks normal right here. And then he's got this massive jaw. I mean, it is huge. I like his bat guy. Man, this is great too. Wow, great pose. Damn. Yeah, that's really nice. This is cool too. Okay, so this one looks like it was inked by Mike. They don't credit an inker. The Dark Where Madness Lies. Written by John Byrne. Interesting. Really cool anatomy again. This is great. This is cool too. Really nice wrists, hands. It's cool. Oh man, that's great. That's so neat looking. Bow. Wow. Yep, that is nice. Spicy nice. Alright. Let me see what time it is real quick. Okay, I can go 10 more minutes. That'll be a 90-minute super fun Sunday. That's good. To celebrate his birthday, we did 90. Oh, Hellboy. You've come a long way. Oh, yeah, these. Death in the Family, right? Oh, yeah, this is like a sketch. Or a prelim of some sort. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Oh, yeah, I remember this. This is like a pinup gallery in the back of something. Maybe Amazing Screw-On Head. I kind of don't think so, but I remember this in the back of a book. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. 2012. Okay, so that's like a little more recent, sort of. What's interesting is if you're like 23 right now, 2012, you're like a little kid. Oh, wow, look at this. Oh, wait, sorry. Didn't mean to do that. Oh, this is funny. Look at this. This is kind of like the Rocket Raccoon era. Oh my gosh, that's hysterical. His signature is like all fancy schmancy, but yeah, look at this. This is really different. Pretty interesting to see. I mean, I'm going to darken the levels a little bit just in case you don't have, if your monitor is real bright, you might not have been able to see it. So let's pull back a little bit. Strike Force. What does it say? Sorotorium? S-C-R-O-T-I-T. Scrotatorium? This doesn't seem like it would be something that would be on a World War II soldier, but who knows? Maybe a blend of like eras. Era, death. Yeah, this is super early. All right, let's keep going. Oh, look at this. This is old too. 1983. Holy cow. So this might be Art Adams in Mignola? 1983. Holy crap. 39 years ago. Holy mackerel. Gosh. They're probably like little kids. Oh, man. So cool. Quorum, number 3 cover. Look at how white the paper still is. That's pretty impressive. That's some good paper. And again, very, very fancy Mignola signature back then. This stuff is good. I actually like the Quorum stuff quite a bit. It's different, but it's good. Oh, he did like a Namor. This is reminding me. I can't remember if this is from it, but there's a Namor short Namor, whatever. Short story that he did. That's actually really cool. This looks like Phantom Stranger, possibly. Wow, look at this. Strange Doom. Oh, so this is from the Marvel graphic novel. Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay, so I'm thinking that some of those other pieces that we were looking at, because that guy looks like the same dude. That might be where from. Oh, this is nice. This is an interesting angle for him, honestly. He kept the face simple, so he didn't have to deal with all the kind of weird foreshortening that goes on with the head when it's at that angle. It's like it's kind of looking down too, but you know, the bottom of the jaw and this kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like if he was looking out more, and then the ears would be back. But yeah, it's cool. It's like, you know, again, it's always interesting to see how artists problem solve things like that, because sometimes is younger, more unexperienced, we paint ourselves in corners with drawing problems that these more seasoned pros avoid. We don't know any better, so we give it a shot, and then it just never works out, and you're like, I couldn't figure out how to draw that. It's like, well, because most people probably wouldn't. I used that as an example in a video a while ago. I said, like, if you ever are having trouble with a drawing, and then just you go, well, maybe let me look around and see if, like, so-and-so ever tried something like this. If you don't see that someone has given it a shot, odds are you might be barking up the wrong tree with what you're trying to do. I mean, you can always try to figure it out and see, but yeah, there's kind of limits to sometimes what will work in a drawing. You never know, friends. You never know. So let's get to some of the showstopper pieces. So this is interesting. I mean, this is, I don't know what size this piece of paper is, but it's either oversized or he's, based on the cover that I had, he did have a weirder dimension. Like the paper was a little more square than 11 by 17 shape. So it's possible that this is 11 by 17, and then there's just extra room on the side. It might be like, I don't know, whatever the dimensions would be, but this is a great page. I'm a huge Baba Yaga fan. It's funny too, because as a kid I loved the character in Dungeons and Dragons, and I always thought she was really, really interesting. And then it was cool to see a comic book person actually use I don't know if she's considered mythological, or I don't know what you consider that source, but folklore. But yeah, she's really, really cool. I love the way Mike draws her. If you've never gotten, there's a 7-piece PVC set. I've got it right on my desk, so I'm looking at it right now. It's like Abe Sapien, Hellboy, Baba Yaga's in it. It's pretty cool. Lobster Johnson, but yeah, they're like little figures. It's still really, really cheap to get. So this is nice. World of Krypton. So again, I like the World of Krypton stuff. I think it's a really interesting period of his work. It's. I mean, this is a good example. Very fluid figures, really well drawn. He's been working in comics long enough where he definitely knows what he's doing. It's got a little bit of sci-fi, a little bit of fantasy, adventure. It's just very, very cool looking stuff. I think it's excellent work. It's different than Hellboy, but really, really well done. All right, what is this? I know what it is. I'm just saying, what is the page? So this is Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser, just to be clear. This is really nice. Okay. Looked like it might have been Rocket Raccoon. This is that page that I was saying that I really like. These are really cool. It's real, like the inks are real loose. This isn't Mike's inks, but they're it's all there. I mean, it looks really good. So let's see here. I'm just trying to get to some of the more recent stuff. I mean, this stuff is all really, really cool. You can go on Heritage, and just if you sign in, you'll be able to look through the completed auctions if you want to really kind of go through and see this stuff on your own. Again, you can see the blue pencil peeking in here and there on this stuff. This is from Bram Stoker's Dracula. Here's a Phantom Stranger page. It's actually quite nice. This is a very, very dense panel. The end, they say. All right. Okay. Wow, that's cool. It's interesting. There's a Matthew Lafray has an Art of book, hardcover book. I can't think of the name of the top of my head. I think I have it in here though somewhere. I don't know if it's still in my office or not. But Matthew would do this with skulls. He would have these big monolithic skulls, and in the eye sockets, a lot of times he would have like wood stakes kind of in them, and like things like this. Not sure if he got it from Mignola or where it comes from, but it's pretty creepy. It's got a, I think it's got a good look, and it's got a design sensibility that makes it functional in terms of this. There we go. This is a classic Mignola bird. Really, really good. Again, you can see the blue pencil in here. That watery black ink looks so damn cool. There's Hellboy. I remember this story. Oh man, it's crazy. All right. And this is from the Hellraiser story. That's cool. Dead things rot. They certainly do. Oh, there's my little newscaster guy. I love that. It's got a very, like, I mean, it reminds me of a little bit of the Frank Miller thing. And this is interesting. If you see this, this is a stat of some sort. So that's curious. I don't know if he used it. Well, I mean, I think I remember seeing him on other pages, but it would be interesting to see which is the original drawing, like what page it ended up on. Oh, yeah. I like this story. Okay, so let's see here. We're going to do a few more, and then we're going to call it. Metal Gear Solid vibes. Psycho Mantis. Oh, wow, look at this. This is another one where I'm not sure if I just saw it and someone said, who do you think drew this? There's definitely like little parts that look like Mignola, but Vision Scarlet Witch. I don't remember this. It's a lot of stuff to draw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 22 different iterations of characters, heads, and whatnot. Said comics will make you work, man. It's a busy day. Ah, this is so good. Oh my gosh. This is just like killer stuff. Man alive. Oh my gosh. This is where it's just getting off the charts good. I love it. So, okay, let's do this. I'm going to do this. We'll move fast. We'll do 3 more Hellboy pages. This is a good one. All right. I'll take you into full screen mode for this. So we'll count this as 1. We'll do 2 more after this, and then we're gonna go. Man, that is so cool looking. Gosh. She has big breasts. Oh man, now I want to watch the Hellboy movie too. I don't know what I'm gonna do today. I mean, I have to work, or I don't have to, but I'm going to. But I mean, like maybe throw on something. This is interesting. His style's really kind of shift. So this is 2004, I'm guessing. I don't know what year those Baba Yaga pieces would have been. That's a nice page. Let's see here. Hello, Ruffy. Alright. Let's see. Ooh, this is cool. Bloop. Oh, man. That's neat. So, okay, you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you can, hit the like button. I assume most of you are all subscribed at this point. The channel's growing. I got like 300 new subscribers over the last, I don't know, week or so. So it's really, really cool. I honestly genuinely appreciate it. You know, we come here to just enjoy comic art. There's no drama or all, you know, any of that stuff. It's just fun. So, all right, you guys have a great day. I'm going to get to work. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon. So, all right, have a great day. Bye.